Looking at the Scottish forward, who is showing the most potential for you? So the key word there being potential.
Well, let's not get away from it. I think I said the other day that the best striker, striker's a different thing from a front man or a target man, is still Griff. There's no doubt about that. When he came on the other night there against Slovakia, he gets shots in and he gets hits at goals. Ever since I've seen him, I don't think I've watched a game and he doesn't get 4. No matter who he plays for, 4 hits at goals, as long as it's 90 minutes. But when you're talking about striker, I think we have to watch the terminology, because I think Scotland are playing with now a front man who, like London and Ollie McBurney. I've known Ollie since he was under 21s. And I remember watching him training one day, and the 2 players that stood out for me that day were John McGinn, who are called up the next squad, and Oliver McBurney. And then I watched him playing under 21s and coming on a sub against England, and he made a big impact. But that's what he does, Oliver McBurney, and so does Lyndon Dykes. They're not great on the eye, but they do affect the defenders of the other team. And sometimes that's getting free kicks and things like that. So I really don't think Scotland have somebody you could guarantee getting 20, 30 goals a season, even for the club at the moment, apart from Griff, because he plays in a team that scores. But the fact is that the guy who, with the setup just now, the guy who's got to play that point man has to be good at his job. Because I said that round about them, there's some good players.
There's no getting away from the fact that Scotland just aren't scoring enough, though, Gordon. And what do they need to do, in your opinion, between now and June?
Well, no scoring enough has got them to the European Championships. I'm sure there's other teams that have scored more goals, but what they've done is make sure there's no goals against. I think the old adage, whenever you pundits speaking of things like, or managers, if you don't give a goal away, then you're still in with a chance. And that's what's happened with the Scotland team, giving no goals away, and then allowing them. We've got to the European Championship by winning. I think the game against Israel, we got penalties, no goals. Serbia, we got a goal, and we scored with penalties again. But our defensive play throughout the team and the way they're set up is allowing us to just sneak ahead in these games, these important games. Okay. We'd like to score more goals. There's no doubt about it. But what you cannot do, between now and European Championship, come up with top strikers who can make goals from nothing. I think some of the top goal scorers in the world, especially the smaller ones, like Aguero's and people like that, they can make goals out of nothing. But then you've got to go the other way when you look at England with Harry Kane, and Belgium has got the big fella that plays up front, Lukaku, So other teams are not afraid to play with big guys with presence up front. They've got presence up front, these two, but they can score loads of goals at the same time. And unfortunately, we have a bit of presence up front, but not the goal scorers. And we're talking about world-class players. We're not talking about it's the same with Germany. Germany have got power up front as well. So we must play to what we've got, and of course we'd like. But I still think if our link-up plays right, I think there's enough in McGregor, McGinn, and Fraser when he comes on to get the odd goal now and then. And if we're defending as well as we are doing, then that one goal will be enough. I think we should be at this moment happy. Yes, but it's up to us as managers and coaches to produce all-round strikers. We just can't sit back and hope it happens. But if you look through the whole of Scottish football, where is there now young talent in Scottish football as strikers and centre halves? There's no many, So we do in Scotland produce a lot of midfield players. Oof, plenty of them. Left backs, great. If we play a World Cup with just left backs, we'd walk it. If you think about it, Lyndon Dykes, he's never come through anything in Scotland. He's come through a hard work again, Australian, Scottish now. And Ollie, I think Ollie went down early into English football, Ollie McBurney, and had to fight his way. Again, the battling qualities, when I seen him under 21s, I thought, oh, he's a problem for other defenders, that's for sure. But we'd like to make them more rounded if we can. But that's up to us as coaches in Scotland to produce them.
What do you think about the criticism that's been levelled at Ollie Gordon?
I don't know. I really don't know. It depends where it's coming from. If it's Kendall Rees, Graham Souness, Alan McLeish, Scott McDowell, anybody's. But what you've got to ask yourself, I'm just saying with Chris Martin when I had it, there was a lot but his minutes per what he did on a game was phenomenal. And if he'd asked the players, you're talking about Fletcher's, Morrison, MacArthur, Snodgrass, who they loved playing with, it was Chris Martin. Every one of them loved playing with Chris Martin. Why? Because he could help them out, hold the ball up. The players loved playing with Chris Martin. The fans didn't like Chris Martin. But who's the most important people in this to qualify? Who's the people you go to when you want to deal? If I'm going to ask, if I want to sign a player, just like when I signed Gary Caldwell for Celtic, I said to John Hartson, John, who's the hardest centre half? Who gives you the hardest game? Gary Caldwell, that'll do for me. So you ask the players and the coaching staff, who is a threat? And if the players and coaching staff are going, it's Ollie McBurney, then listen to them.
What advice would you have for Ollie right now?
Enjoy taking the penalty that you did, with the whole of Scotland watching you, thinking, maybe no. And enjoy dealing with that pressure moment. And if you can deal with that, son, you can deal with anything. Because we're all watching you, and we're all ready to leap behind us a tee if you missed. And but you didn't. You dealt with it brilliantly.